What's up everyone, it's Horror Master and I'm back with another video. Now it's time for CD collection update number 19, which again we're almost close to that 20-minute 20 update mark, which I'm slowly but surely getting close to that 20 mark. And this is going to conclude everything that I got from San Antonio when I went to see Saxon Uriah Heep, plus some other stuff that I got in between there. But before that, I just want to thank everyone so much for watching my album versus album video, and the response to that video has been amazing. Like I said, that I worked so hard on that video, and I am planning to make a second part. And if you guys want to send me more album versus albums, going down in the comments, putting your album versus albums, go as crazy and evil as you want, because I am planning to do another video sometime in the future. Maybe not next week or maybe the week after that, but sometime maybe the next month or so. So keep sending me your album versus albums, and hopefully that video does a lot well. But let's get to the goodies on this video. So start off with the video. I have two CDs from the same band, of course. This is a band that I recently saw, was the last show I went to recently. Of course, I'm talking about both the Necrotic Wasteland albums, the Subtitle debut and Definium Tremens. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Fictin Tremens. I said, sorry, I just barely woke up. But anyways, this is the album that, of course, Dallas from Nile, when he left the band, started out. And you know, if you heard both these albums, they usually talk about drugs and alcoholism. It's more raw death metal, more than a bit more not tech deck like a Nile, but you know, it still has a great punch to it. And as you can see, when I saw, sorry for the thunder, it's kind of raining right now, hopefully the camera doesn't get it, but as you can see, like I said, I met Dallas and he was nice enough to sign both of the albums that I bought off the merch. And I didn't know that Dallas had a band when he left Nile, honestly. But after seeing them live and hearing their songs, a couple of the tracks before I went to see the show, I became a fan. And I think he released a single uh, before he went on tour, because I know he's touring during his 50th birthday, which I cannot believe he's 50 years old. You look at the guy, and I'm like, no, there's no way he's 50 years old. But if you like Nile in a way, but don't want to listen to a lot of the Ancient Egyptian, because I know a lot of people are kind of tired of some Ancient Egyptian stuff, give these two albums a listen. Again, talks about drugs and alcohol and addiction, which, you know, if you're a person who's kind of dealing with those demons, you know, you might want to get some help. But great albums for you to listen to and add to your collections. And speaking of Nile, now we're on to Annihilation of the Wicked. It's the fourth studio album, and personally my favorite Nile album of all time. I mean, if you like the technical death metal, Nile is one of those bands that has kind of set the template for technical death metal, even though bands like Cannibal Corpse before them, or even a band like Death before them, kind of established the technical death metal to a sound to it. Nile, I think, is the perfect band, other than probably Meshuggah, but I think Meshuggah kind of in that realm. But with the Annihilation of the Wicked, it is my favorite Nile album. And like I said, had the opportunity to, again, when I saw Narcotic Wasteland, I got to talk to Dallas for a bit, and he was nice enough to sign my CD. And now that Now is gonna be on tour with, unfortunately, with 6 Feet Under, I might have to go and see Now, because I want to meet Carl Sanders and I want him to sign my Annihilation of the Wicked album, because it is my favorite Now album. I mean, like I mentioned on my Necrotic Wasteland series right now, a lot of people are kind of tired of the ancient Egyptian theme. Personally, I am not. It's kind of like the AC/DC formula. If it's not break, don't fix it, because they are masters of the ancient Egyptian themes and all that. The songs are great. I mean, when you have a song like, what, probably my favorite song of the album, when it's like Cast Down to the Heretics, or something like it's a spawn of Umanet, I think that's how you pronounce it. You know, it's great technical death metal. The album artwork, I mean, come on, that album artwork's amazing. It's like snakes put on with some feather wings, and I don't know, something ancient Egyptian. That's all I know. But and I like the fact that this edition, when as you're reading the lyrics, it kind of tells the story behind every album, like how the band at the time was trying to kind of bring those songs to life and kind of the backstory of each song, which is kind of cool when they kind of add stuff to it, kind of gives us more insight into what they were thinking during that time. But if you have not listened to now, which you probably should if you're watching this video, Annihilation of the Wicked is probably the best album for you to get. I mean, then you go the end of Kong and Kang, their debut album is also amazing. I mean, pretty much any now album is good to perfection. But to me personally, Annihilation of the Wicked is the one that I would go 100% every time. Pallbearer, Mind Burns Alive. This is the fifth studio album by this American doom metal band, and honestly, one of the most modern doom metal bands out there next to a band like Chemist. I actually became a fan of Pallbearer when they released Heartless, which was like back in 2018, and that album blew my mind. And then the album afterwards kind of was a sort of miss for me, but I had great albums. But this one, this is a new transitional sound to them because yeah, they're still doomy, but the fact that they added more stuff to it, and so the songs are fucking amazing. They're so beautiful. And another album for my 2024 album of the year contender, which this could potentially be at the very top. You don't know, we still have a lot left in the year, but Mind Burns Alive, it's an experience of its own. And if you're not listening to Pallbearer, this album could easily be your gateway into Pallbearer because they're heavy, but they're not the kind of heavy that makes you want to not stop listening to them. They're the kind of heavy that makes you want to keep diving more into their sound. Again, I feel that Pallbearer has matured in their sound and has created something so artistically beautiful that it makes you cry. The fact that this album is, like I said, this album is close to like 70 minutes in length. You don't feel it's 70 minutes in length. You feel this is like a 30-minute album when you listen to like what by the time you finish the album, you're like, man, I want to listen to it again, which is exactly what I did when I finished the album for the first time. I re-listened to it for the second time, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. But yeah, potentially album of the year contender right here. And the fact they're actually gonna go to Houston at the beginning of August, it kind of fucking sucks that I won't be able to see them. But hopefully, I can just see them sooner in the future because these guys are like one of the best modern doom metal bands out there. Next to a band like Chemist, which I really love Pallbearer and Chemist. So yeah, check out Pallbearer if you haven't listened to them. Rainbow Rising. This is the second studio album from this British American band. Pretty much the godfathers of power metal. Will eventually become power metal in the future. But do I really need to explain myself on Rainbow Rising? A lot of people are shocked that I never had this album until now because it's one of those albums that honestly I'm not too worried in getting because sometimes the way that I do things is I try to get those albums that I know are gonna be hard to find, and an album like Rainbow Rising I can easily go on Amazon or the record store and buy it quickly. But it always goes up above my head to get it when I go to the record store. Until this time that I went to San Antonio, I saw it in the record store. I was like, you know what? It's time to get some Rainbow in the collection. And I mean, Richie Blackmore, Cozy Powell, Jimmy Bain, Ronnie James Dio. What more can I say about this album than Stargazer? Stargazer alone. One of the best songs that Rainbow's ever done. One of the best Dio songs in general, next to Rainbow the Dark, Holy Diver, Don't Talk to Strangers, The Last in Line. Even his stuff in Elf, I mean, it's still pretty good, but without just listening to Stargazer, even listening to the deep cuts like Terrier Woman, Don't You Close Your Eyes, Wrong with the Wolf, it's still an amazing album. Like an early influence of power metal would eventually become power metal in the transition of the late 80s to early 90s to the 2000s. Rainbow is the godfather of power metal. And Rainbow, I mean Dio, it's pretty much one of the founding fathers of power metal. And yeah, I mean that iconic album cover. Look at that album cover. How iconic can you get more than that? Fucking hell, Rainbow. Fucking hell, Ronnie James Dio. Rotting Christ, Pro Christo. This is the 14th studio album from this Greek black gothic doom metal band, which I don't know. Later, Rotting Christ became more a bit of a gothic band, kind of in that realm. But Pro Cristo, this album is the continuation from the Heretics, which I really did enjoy. The Heretics had a lot of great songs, but Pro Cristo, I think it's a kind of bit more to it. I think the songs in this album are well written. I mean, for the first thing with the Apostate, which that's my personal favorite song of the album, talks about Julian the Apostate, which if you don't know your history, he kind of defined Christianity. He wanted the religion at the time to be back to the paganism altar and the gods and all that, and which is the song that could have gone in the Heretic, which that would have been amazing. That song would have gone in the Heretic. But if you go more into the album, you have like La Letra del Diablo, which the word of the devil, the farewell, Pretty World, Pretty Dies. Again, Rotting Crest is one of those bands that I've been wanting to get more into the collection. This is actually the first album that I actually bought from Rotting Crest. I need to get some of the early stuff too, because in terms of Greek bands, when you think of Greek metal, there's maybe one or two bands that automatically pop in your head, Rotting Crest being one of them. And again, that album cover is so fucking amazing. And the fact that if you look at the album real carefully, it's like embossing like in gold lettering like all over the album. Like it makes the album stand out, which that's fucking awesome. Another reason why physical media is always king. But another album could potentially be my 2024 albums of the year. And yeah, if you have not listened to Rotting Christ, Pro Cristo could be a good album to kind of seize your way into it. Or you want to go with something earlier, like maybe some of the early albums like A Dead Poem. It could be another great album, or even an album like Rituals, which I think Rituals was the album that a lot of people went crazy for Rotting Christ. But yeah, Rotting Christ, great black doom metal, I think, because you really can't categorize more modern Rotting Christ. But yeah, give them a listen. And now we have a double hitter of Saxon albums. We have The Crusader and Hellfire and Damnation. Crusader was the album that kind of got me into Saxon thanks to my uncles. The song Crusader was my favorite song. It is my favorite Saxon song of all time. When they sang it live, when I saw them, I fucking lost it because, again, it is my favorite Saxon song of all time. And this album, Spirit Guard, is probably not one of their best, which is kind of what thing, because I think it's a pretty good album. I think Saxon has called it their Def Leppard album, which listening to it, you kind of figured out why. It has a kind of Def Leppard sound to it. And Hellfire and Damnation, lately the run of Saxon albums has been so fucking good. Heavy, fast. I mean, this is what every single person wants of Iron Maiden to do, to release an album of this magnitude. And the fact that this is signed by the band, which I bought it at their merch table alongside a t-shirt. Again, I had to buy it because of the simple that. But again, these songs on this album are so fucking good. Hellfire and Damnation, Madame Guillotine, Witches of Salem, 1066. This is a sound that a lot of Iron Maiden fans want the band to get into, because a lot of Iron Maiden fans are kind of tired of the same album they've been done for the past 20 years or so. But yeah, I mean, Saxon's one of those bands that I'm shocked they're still fucking touring, and the fact that they're close to their 70s, they're still fucking kick ass. So if you have not listened to Saxon and they come near town, fucking go and get them and see them live, because they are one of those bands you will want to see live over and over and over again. Simon and Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence. This is their second studio album from this duo folk rock duo band, and it's funny to think that I actually found this album when I was at, of all places, a Family Dollar, because I think Family Dollar stopped selling CDs, and if they do, it's like one of those like early cheap CDs that you find like the latest 90 hits and something like that. But the fact that this was at a Dollar General for like $2, I couldn't pass by getting it. And I mean, of course, the big song of the album is the Sound of Silence. I almost said Sound of Perseverance. I'm not making that mistake. But besides that song, you get a lot of great classics like Richard Corey, April Comes She Will, I Am the Rock, Katie's Song, and it comes with a couple of bonus tracks like Blue Run the Game, Barbarian, Rose of Adrenaline, Robin Again. These are previous songs that were previously unreleased, and I think they were later released in like compilations and led into the edition of this album. But again, this was released in '66. This was still at the peak of the hippie movement, kind of in a way. Again, duos at the time were really the most successful. Unlike Simon and Garfunkel, who made it successful. Again, folky rock, which don't get me wrong, I like that sound of the '60s folky rock, kind of more of a peaceful time. That again, it was the '60s hippie movement. But yeah, if you're not listening to the Sound of Silence, hell, you haven't listened to Simon and Garfunkel, you should listen to them. Especially, I mean, the Sound of Silence is their most notable song, and I get that the fact that the Disturbed cover of it has its fans. I kind of like it, but nothing beats the original. There are a couple of songs out there that the original is always better than the remake, depending on the situation. But yeah, Simon and Garfunkel, Sound of Silence, great folk rock. Terrorizer, World Downfall. This is the first studio album from this American grindcore band, death metal band, whatever you guys want to call them. And a lot of people say this is the greatest grindcore album of all time. I kind of disagree. It is up in terms of the greatest grindcore album of all time, but it's up there next to something like maybe Repulsion's Horrify or Napalm Death's Scum. But the fact that this album the thing about Terrorize that I find so fascinating is that three-fourths of this band, David Vincent, Pete Sandoval, and Jesse Pintado, would eventually become Morbid Angel and give us Altars of Madness, Blessed the Second, and so on and so forth. And it's crazy to think that this was the band that kind of started, before Morbid Angel became a thing and Terrorizer was the thing. But again, the thing about this edition that I think I'm mentioning in my one of my latest collection updates is that this edition doesn't have no lyrics. I mean, I get it, Eric. Come on, at least give us like a little note or something to kind of follow up with the album. But come on, at least give us like a little liner note or something. But besides that, the songs are great, production is great. I think was it David Vincent who produced it? David Vincent and Scott Burns, of course, the great Scott Burns, who, of course, Morrison and all that. But I do understand why a lot of people say this is the greatest grindcore album of all time. It is up there. I don't think it's the best. I think that kind of acknowledgement will be more fitting to maybe Horrified by Repulsion, which I need to get that album in the future one of these days. But yeah, if you have not listened to Terrorizer, World Downfall, one of the greatest debut albums in terms of like death metal, extreme metal out there, next to Ultras of Madness, which is not my number 6 on my list ever. But again, Terrorizer World Downfall, great album. Van Halen with the subtitle debut Van Halen. Of course, it's the first album from, of course, Van Halen, of course, Eddie Van Halen, David Lee Roth, David Van Halen, Mike Rancetti. In terms of debut albums in metal, like in hard rock, this is one of the best. When you have your opening song, Running with the Devil, which is probably my personal favorite Van Halen song ever, that bass into the boom, 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 boom. And then of course Eddie Van Halen on the guitar, a virtuoso on the guitar, and then next to Eruption. I think Eruption was the song that kind of made Eddie Van Halen the legend that he will later become, and still is, even though after his passing. It's one of those things that's crazy to think that he did things in the guitar, kind of like a Jimi Hendrix. He was ahead of his time, and after Eddie Van Halen did all things in the guitar, a lot of people try to duplicate him. Even the cover of the Kings, you really got me going. It's really good. Ain't Talking About Love is great. Jamie's Crying, On Fire, Ice Cream Man. Again, how many bands do you know sometimes have their best material on their debut album? With Van Halen 1 has some of their best songs. Of course, Van Halen 2, and then 1984. And even some of the Sammy Hagar albums are still great. But yeah, I mean, Van Halen, and again, one of those albums that took me the longest to find in the collection, because I could easily get those someday and I never had to worry about finding them at a print or something. But I'm happy I was able to get the album in the collection, and It's a shame I never got to see Van Halen live. I would have loved to see Van Halen live, especially Eddie Van Halen. And yeah, Hail Van Halen, Hail Eddie Van Halen, fucking amazing album. So that pretty much is gonna wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, sharing. And like I mentioned before, there's a lot of good things coming for the channel. Album versus album part 2 is gonna come out in the future. If you guys want to send me more albums versus albums, let me down in the comments. I have a couple of videos lined up. I might bring another rank on in the near future. CD collection update number 20 is slowly but surely coming to light. I have a couple of CDs that I've already bought, which they should be on their way in the next couple of weeks. I have a special video that I'm gonna do sometime in the near future. I don't know when that's gonna be out, but stay tuned for that. Like I mentioned before, this is the bright future for the channel, and I'm gonna try to be more productive on my videos and bring you guys at least a video per week. Maybe so, depending on how work is and all that. But thank you guys so much for all the support you guys have given me. Stay safe, everyone, and until next time, stay metal.